Yeah. So Nikolaj Schulte-Wörmann is a research assistant in political education, civic education at the University of Oldenburg. And today we will be studying on in the grim darkness of the far future, there is only politics. Warhammer 40K for a school-based look at Carl Schmitt's unfolding concept of the political. Thank you so much. It's great to have you.
Hi. I am delighted to be able to speak here today about three things I'd like to talk about: Warhammer, the politics, and politische Bildung. Normally I have to explain what this Warhammer is. In this circle I'm able to leave this part out. But in order to understand the genesis of this lecture, I have to explain, for better or worse, that political education, what political education is or could be. The English translation, political education or civic education, suggests a goal that I don't mean. As people simply became educated to be democrats or political persons just by learning how a law gets through our parliament. So if I know how it works, I'm a democrat. Hey, and everything is fine. That's not true. But this misconcept is deployedly rooted in our it's rooted. And if you ask in a school class or also in a university seminar, what is politics? You mainly get two answers. What happened at parliament or what politicians do. And sometimes you get an answer, voting is politics. That's the only thing what's happening with yourself. Voting, that's politics. But to being a citizen means more than just vote for voting, or knowing how things work, or be able to name institutions. It doesn't make you a democrat or a political human. Politische Bildung, now deliberately using the German term, means something more for good reason. And it's a German specialty. Why? Because the German society had used democratic methods to wipe out the democratic system and starting authoritarian murder machine. This raised the question of how it's possible to bring this people closer to democracy. And the answer was, now 70 years ago, politische Bildung. And this means to build an understanding in which voting is not just an exercise, but it's linked to an expression of your own political position. Learning to actively shape your role as citizen instead of being a passive subject. Therein lies a hope that if an authoritarian structure flare up again, the German people will be a little more resilient to and protect their own democracy. This means it's not about affirming the existence, which could be archived with education too, but rather the critical examination of the existing and the understanding and idea of what is good in the system and what could be better in the system. In other words, Kant's idea of enlightenment. So now we approach the political. When politics is not simply what politicians do, we try to leave the tautological circle. We have to ask what distinguishes politics from non-politics. And because I'm educating teachers to be political teachers, and I have to explain what the added value that is. The question of what is the political is still controversial today. And I think it's for all time we in politics studies will argue what it is. One answer is the answer of Carl Schmitt. For we ask quite simply what distinguishes politics from non-politics. The answer Parliament fails here, since there have to be something political happened to get a parliament. It's not from God or the God Emperor or someone else. Human do something to get a parliament. And also we can't say what politicians do. Then politicians become politicians by doing political things and not the other way. And he says there's something that's only in politics. And it's the dichotomy of friend and enemy. Basically, it's not important this enemy consists, it's only important that it exists. It's not necessary for the opponent to be ugly, immoral, rich, or heretical. He's against a self-defining us. He can be a good guy and punctual. But his existence threatens our existence. The enemy is public, Latin hostis, and not private, Latin inimicus. So it's not the guy who always pee in your doorway if he gets drunk. Or you just don't like. He's something that threatens your collective existence. And we don't even have to hate him. Coexistence is only possible if there is an opponent who's bigger than this opponent. We have opponents. And now it feels very like the 41st millennium. At the latest, if we follow Schmitt and understand war is a translation of political, not just the possibility of political, as we learned with Karl von Clausewitz, but much more, war is the normal thing and everything else is for Carl Schmitt sly politics. In Warhammer, friend and enemy are clearly differentiated. And in the most cases are also concerned with denying the existence of the other. The reasons for this can be fun with the orcs, hunger with the Tyranids, or a belief in chaos. Now I already have committed an act, a slightly political act. I have positioned myself against these three groups. And I could now add, when I lead my army into battle, I do it for the Emperor, Sanguinius, and Malcolm Foros. I make my position in the game open with the colors of my army. And I don't care if Elder are more prettier, Tau more modern, Orcs are happier, or the Chaos armies freer. They are all threaten the existence of the Empire. They are my enemies. I have decided what is the right side. Warhammer 40k is the political universe according to Schmitt. We will not find a purer form. In the first moment, this world is just questionable for democratic education, as Carl Schmitt, as a source of ideas when a democratic structure is approached. Why bring both into school? Except because we can describe Schmitt's idea very nicely. We can understand with Schmitt, politics requires a distinction. Someone is for me and someone is against me. But not because I'm particularly ugly and he is beautiful. He is bad and I am good. He is profitable and I spend too much money on plastic figures. It's about collectives. Huh?
Don't we all?
I lost my face. It's about collectives that have certain ideas. These ideas can be represented with equal rights. They can be both right and wrong. The only important thing is that the respective collectives takes the position for itself, and the other collective is don't want. Just like we think about why we choose our particular army in the game. I choose the Lamenters because I like their story. But I could have played Necrons because I like their rules. It's my decision for a reason that's right for me. So here, in a neutral world, because don't hurt when we play Warhammer, mostly it don't hurt when we play Warhammer, we take a decision, and it could lead us to a decision in the real world, where we have to get it. That's our decision on purpose. Here's not longer a look at Warhammer and use it to explain Carl Schmitt and the political, but we can playfully explain why different positions can be taken, and even if they contradict each other, both can demand validity. Because there is no right and wrong. They're only decisions. And this is a world that doesn't hurt us. But best case can be fun. We can learn from and with Warhammer how and what politics is. We have to stand up for our own decisions and positions. They have to be defended against others who have different positions for different reasons. They are in a competition with each other. I have to drink something. My tongue is up. Sorry. That's an important point for a democracy and for the democracy view. In a democracy, war can only be waged against groups that fight democracy from outside. But in our democracy, we decided to be in a competition, not a war, competition. But democracy competition also knows opposition, unlikely enmity. However, it's not carried out in a deadly manner. This is where citizens fight in the parliaments and non-bloody on the streets. But in order to do so, they must understand that their own position is not necessarily the right position for the others. We have to learn this to stay in a democratic way. We have now, in parts, not everyone, the idea of this is how I see it and this is right. And sometimes we call it science, and on next day we call it the economic world, and sometimes it's only religion. But all these parts for this for themselves are okay for a few people, not for all. And democracy tries to be there for all people. The main thing, however, distinguished of Warhammer as means as a politische Bildung is that it can be fun, and fun can provide a high motivation for learning. And why Warhammer and not Star Wars? Because Warhammer doesn't know good and evil. It's the decision, what is evil for you and what is the right thing for you. Is the Emperor a good guy? I fight for the Emperor. Yes, he's the best guy in the world. But we also can say, oh, there are some other guys who are also good guys or better guys. Maybe, I don't know. No, they are smart. Huh? It's not. Clearly, it's not. So this is why this world could be a good use in school or outside from school for teaching children how politics works and why politics and democracy is better than war. Because war hurts and kills people. So I'm finished. I tried, Tucholsky once says, you can talk about everything, but not longer than 10 minutes, and I try to stay at 10 minutes.